Hello, welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about an Etchr sketchbook that I got given. So it comes in this sort of white, creamy textured paper. It's got this little thing and the band, which you can undo. Also have one of these little bits of ribbons to put out. So I started off using it in Liverpool when I went there for the anniversary celebrations. For this one I just used my sort of traditional palette and a water brush. So it takes watercolour really nicely, and this was another page, again using the same materials. Quite like the way it sort of pulls, it's got quite a nice effect, but the actual paper is actually quite smooth, but you get a nice feeling, sort of this sort of thing happening here. These were sketches I did when I was doing my workshop, so they're a bit messy, but we were talking about, the workshop was called Big Shapes and Line Detail, and also we talked about spaces, positive, negative spaces. This one was a line drawing done in Oxford, and I used my light rotating pen, went on quite nicely. This one here is using a smaller palette and a water brush, and this is done in Oxford, so you can see how the watercolour goes on there. Again, more workshop images, this time from Oxford. So I'm just using my favourite colour, which is this Perylene Green, and just trying out things to show people. We looked at how you use the shapes, like rectangles, semicircles, and then you draw around it to create the image. So good for windows and doorways, things like that. And another one of an archway looking through. This was shadows in Oxford, using the same idea. See, it's quite nice the way the watercolour goes on it, I think. This was the final one in Oxford. This was the demo, so you can see it quite clearly here, where I use triangle shapes, rectangle shapes, archway, and also I talked about the fact that if you're in the UK, if it's very damp, sometimes it's an idea to leave a little space so you can let otherwise the colours run into one another, which sometimes is a nice thing to do. I've done that later in the book, but for this one I was trying to keep it separate. This was just using pencil. This was a class I was teaching foundation students, and we were talking about figure drawing, and then this one is the graphic fine liner. Again, some very quick ones talking about space for the university students. This was at the Floral Festival Hall, and for these ones I used these paint sticks. They're a bit like a lipstick, you just push them up like that and you get the colour. They're really nice to use. Apparently you can't use them when it's hot, but so we're fine at the moment. So I'll just use two colours, and then also the pen again on there. This was on the Embankment Gardens and along the Strand, and I've gone back to using the small watercolour set just because it was easier to carry around, and limited palette as well to see how I get on with those. This was using these type of Tombow markers. So you have one end where you've got a thick brushy pen, and the other end where you have a thin one, so they're quite handy. And this was on a walk along the Thames as part of a project I'm doing with Nunu Paish, which is like it's called Sketchbook London, and we walk along and sketch on the different places on the way. So this was all from Waterloo to Butler's Wharf in the end, so lots of little ones because they were all very quick. So this is a bit further along the Oxford Tower. There is some watercolour on the back of there by the Tate, Blackfriars Bridge. This is near the Globes here, and this is this old pub there. And this was Big Shadow. There's a big archway, there's a railway line that goes over the top of it. So again, just sticking to very limited palette because they were, you know, just easy to sort of hold in your hand as you're walking along. You know, it's not difficult when you're out drawing like that. This is Borough Market, a bit more there, and also it's got some black brush pen, one of these Pentel ones as well, these sort of areas. This is the Hayes Galleria, and they have this big iron structure, so that was that one. This is the outside, the Galleria's here. For this pattern was just a random thing. I did lots of dots because there was holes in the structure, and then when I put the book together you got this pattern here, but I quite like it. And this further along by looking across to the Tower of London, and then the last one, which was Butler's Wharf, just finishing off there. So I think it takes the markers quite nicely. There's a bit of rain on there as well, so it's quite good to try out. This is in Cambridge, and then I'm back to using the small watercolour palette and the brush pen. And you can see I've tried the idea of the shape, but this time I'm not keeping it separate, so I'm just letting it all go into one another, and I think the paper takes it quite nicely. This was again in Cambridge, sort of the autumn colours. There's a little dog who laid down, but then he went away again, so I just got part of him in. So, and the last part I think is just bits of writing. I've stuck a brush in there because I like these long thin brushes, but I tend to ruin them, so I thought I might keep it nice. I've got a few bits at the back here, including this was some drawings from a workshop I did with the AOI. It's called Sketchbook. So we did lots of free drawing with brush pens. That was using this one. That was using this one again, the brush pen. And it was all about comics and things like that. So I decided I'd keep those at the back. It's nice to keep things like that at the back. So there you are. That's the finished book. It's not got anything amazing in it, but it was good to try out the different materials, and I think it's a nice one to use. Thank you.